The scent of warm bread still clung to my clothes when I stepped back into the front of Sunrise and Salt Bakery. My hands were shaking, but not from exhaustion. Opening night was nearly over. Yet the one table I had set with my mother's old linen napkins and a small vase of wildflowers remained untouched. The reservation card read, "Hail Family." I had placed it there myself, hoping maybe foolishly that tonight would be different. The story you are about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team of the channel Revenge Pulse, inspired by real-life situations to convey lessons about family, emotion, and human values. All characters and events are illustrative. I checked the time again, 8 o'clock. They were late, but lateness I could forgive. Forgetting. I could forgive that too, not noticing I had forgiven that my whole life. My phone buzzed. For a heartbeat, I let myself imagine an apology or even a quick "on our way." Lenny. Instead. Instagram refreshed. Phoenix had posted a photo of himself at a loud Santa Rosa sports bar. He held up a glass of cheap beer. My parents, Gordon and Serena, leaned into the frame, smiling like they were on vacation. His caption read, "Where the real innovation happens. Big moves tonight." The noise of my bakery faded to a dull hum. I stared at the screen until the edges of the photo blurred. They had not been late. They had not forgotten. They had chosen not to come. A couple waiting by the entrance glanced at the empty family table. "Is that one taken?" the woman asked. I picked up the reservation card, snapped it cleanly in half, and forced a steady breath. "It is yours now," I said. "It is the best seat in the house." Her smile warmed, and for a moment I felt steadier than I expected. I guided them to the table, answered questions about the menu, and when I returned to the counter, I finally typed a message to my father. "The table is open to paying guests. Do not come." I hit send before I could soften it. As the door opened for the next customer, I lifted my head and spoke with more calm than I felt. "If you are listening to this story," I said, "drop a comment and let me know where you are listening from. I hope you find something in here that stays with you." Then I tucked my phone into my apron and stepped back into the heat of the kitchen, refusing to look at the empty space where my family should have been. The morning after the opening, I unlocked the bakery with a heaviness sitting beneath my ribs. The ovens were already warming, but the silence inside felt sharper than the night before. I set my apron on the counter, trying to convince myself that work would steady me. Marin, one of my part-time baristas, peeked in from the back. "Did your family ever show?" she asked softly. "No," I said, tying the apron strings tighter. "They were busy." She hesitated, as if choosing whether to ask more. When she finally spoke, her voice held an ache. "I am sorry. Linen." I nodded, pretending I needed to check the proofing dough. The truth was simpler. I did not want pity. I had spent too many years living on it. My phone buzzed again. This time, I did not look. I could not let Phoenix's carefree posts or my father's looming presence dictate the temperature of my day. Marin set a tray on the counter. "You worked harder than anyone I know to open this place," she said. "People see that." Her words landed somewhere deep, somewhere tender. I forced a breath. "I keep moving," I said. "That is the only way anything gets built." She gave a small smile. "Then keep moving. We have customers waiting." As she walked back toward the front, I finally allowed myself a single, steady thought last night had changed something. A lock had turned, and whatever door had closed inside me, it was not opening for free anymore. The bell over the front door jingled at 7 sharp, long before the first rush. I was wiping down the espresso machine when my father, Gordon Hale, walked in as if he owned the air in the room. He did not glance at the pastries or the new shelves or the framed photos of the opening night crowd. His eyes landed on me, scanning for cracks. "You look tired," he said. "Rough night I worked," I replied. You should try it. He smirked, as if effort were a punchline, always with the attitude, Lennon. I came to talk about last night. I figured, I said. I did not offer him a seat. He leaned on the counter like he had done it 1,000 times, even though he had never supported a single shift of mine in any place I ever worked. We did not mean to skip the opening. Phoenix had a big opportunity. Some serious investors were at that bar. I kept wiping the same spotless surface. Investors at a sports bar. I said, must have been quite a night. It was strategic, he snapped. Phoenix is building something real, something that could change the game. But he needs capital. That is where you come in. There it was. The real reason he had shown up before sunrise. I need you to invest $75,000, he continued, voice softening into false reason. It is an opportunity for the whole family. We supported you when you were just playing with flour. I set the cloth down. Playing. He waved a dismissive hand. You know what I mean. This bakery is nice. But Phoenix is aiming higher, and he needs us behind him. I am not investing, I said. He blinked, confused, as if I had misread the script. Lennon, this is family. No, I said, steady. This is you treating me like a vault, and the vault is closed. His expression hardened. You owe us. We raised you. We carried you. I met his stare. You carried Phoenix. You pushed me. His jaw tightened. You are being ungrateful. I stepped out from behind the counter, closing the space between us. And you are trespassing. The word hit him. I watched it land. You cannot talk to me like that, he said, voice rising. You will fail without us. I opened the door and held it. Then you should leave before that failure starts with me calling the police. He hesitated, searching for the old version of me, the one who would soften. Apologize. Fold. She was gone. Gordon walked out, muttering under his breath. I closed the door behind him and locked it, feeling the click settle deep in my chest. A boundary had finally been drawn, and I was not stepping back over it. I had barely turned the lock when the door rattled again. Gordon had not gone far. He pushed back inside with the force of a man who believed the world and his daughter owed him space. You think you can dismiss me? He demanded. I am your father. And this is my business, I said. You do not get to storm in and decide its purpose. He stepped closer, using his height like a weapon. You are being dramatic. Phoenix needs help. Families help each other. Families do not bleed one person dry to float another, I replied. His face reddened. You always twist things. We have supported you. I pulled the small worn notebook from my apron. His words stopped like he had seen a blade. What is that receipts? I said. Since you like to talk about support. I opened to the first page, 2015. I asked you to co-sign a small loan so I could move into a commercial kitchen. You said no because Phoenix wanted a new office for his second startup. Gordon's jaw clenched. 2018. I asked for help transporting equipment. You said you were busy moving Phoenix into his third project. That is not fair. He started 2 years ago. I continued, louder. I asked to borrow $500 when my mixer died. You laughed and told me to get a real job. He tried to grab the notebook, but I pulled it back. Do not rewrite history. Gordon, you contributed nothing but reasons for me to need no one. His voice dropped into a snarl. Stop keeping score. I am not keeping score, I said. I am checking the receipts. For the first time. He looked unsure, like the ground beneath him had shifted. You will regret this, he said finally. When everything falls apart, do not crawl back. I will not, I said. I held the door open. This time, he stepped out without another word. The click of the lock echoed through the room, final and quiet and entirely mine. 2 days later, the lunch rush had turned Sunrise and Salt into a steady hum of voices and clinking cups. I was boxing pastries when the door opened and a man in a beige county jacket stepped inside, holding a clipboard tight to his chest. "Lennon Hale?" he asked. "Yes," I replied. "I am with the Sonoma County Health Department. We received multiple complaints regarding rodent activity in your food preparation area. I need to conduct an immediate inspection." The room seemed to freeze. A woman halfway through a croissant lowered her fork. Someone near the counter whispered. I kept my voice even. "How many complaints?" "3, he said, each with photos attached. My chest tightened. "Photos." He nodded. "I cannot comment on authenticity until I complete the inspection." Marin appeared beside me, face pale. "Lennon." "We do not have, I know." I said. "Let him do his job." The inspector began moving through the kitchen, opening cabinets, running gloved hands along baseboards, pulling out equipment with the thoroughness of someone who had walked into war zones of real contamination. My staff watched in anxious silence. After nearly 40 minutes, he returned to the front, clicking his pen closed. "Your kitchen is immaculate," he said quietly. "One of the cleanest I have inspected this month." A few customers exhaled, but the room still carried tension. I leaned toward him. "Who filed the complaints?" He lowered his voice. "I cannot disclose that officially," but the caller identified themselves as a concerned family member who claimed to have witnessed the issue personally. The words stung sharper than insects. Of course they had. "Thank you," I said. He gave a sympathetic nod before leaving. As the door shut, Marin whispered, "Someone is trying to ruin you." I swallowed the heat in my throat. Someone is trying to scare me. I waited until the last customer left before pulling up the exterior camera feed on my tablet. I scrubbed through yesterday's footage until a familiar car appeared, idling across the street for more than 20 minutes. Phoenix. The knowledge landed like cold steel. I opened the non-emergency police line and pressed call. When the operator answered, my voice was steady. "I need to report fraudulent health complaints made against my business," I said, "and I have evidence." I had just finished mopping the kitchen floor when someone knocked soft, uneven. Nothing like Gordon's angry pounding. The hour was late enough that my pulse jumped before I even moved. I checked the camera. Marin Blake stood in the alley, arms wrapped around herself, eyes red and swollen. I opened the door only halfway. "Marin." "What happened?" She stepped inside as if her legs might give out. "I should not be here," she whispered, but I did not know where else to go. Her voice trembled so badly I motioned her to sit at the prep table. She did, gripping her phone like it was the only solid thing in her world. "Is Phoenix hurt?" I asked. "Hurt." She let out a thin, cracked laugh. "He is drowning, Lennon, and he is pulling everyone with him." I stayed standing. "Tell me what is going on." Marin wiped her face with the back of her hand. "There is no platform, no investors, nothing. He has been pretending for months, and your parents keep believing him because it is easier than admitting he failed." I stayed silent, letting her speak. "He owes over $240,000, she said. "Crypto trades, sports bets, private markers. I did not even know numbers like that were possible." My stomach tightened. "Why are you telling me this?" She unlocked her phone with shaking hands. "Because he and Gordon have a plan. And you need to hear it before they try to make you sign anything." She pressed a button, and a recording screen opened. "Marin." "Please," she whispered. "Just listen." The first voice that played was Phoenix's frantic, desperate, and then Gordon's, calm and cold enough to ice the room. Phoenix's voice filled the kitchen first, thin, frantic, breaking in places. "She is not budging. Dad, she will not give a cent. I told you this would happen." Then Gordon's voice answered, smooth as polished stone. "She will break. She always does. We just need the contract ready." Once she signs the joint management agreement, we trigger the emergency liquidation clause. We sell the ovens, the mixer, the freezers, the lease. Sunrise and Salt is worth well over $100,000 in assets alone. Phoenix's breath hitched. That covers most of what I owe, but not all of it. That is your problem, Gordon replied. Our problem is Lennon's independence. It has gone too far. She forgets who built her, who carried her. We take the bakery back, and she can start over somewhere else. Bakers always find work. I felt the words scrape through me, cold and deliberate. Marin watched with her hands pressed to her mouth. The recording ended with Phoenix murmuring, "Just get her to sign," and Gordon saying, "She will. She is soft. She wants family." Marin shut off her phone. "I did not know how bad it was until yesterday," she whispered, "but I heard them planning to meet with you this week." I forced my voice into steadiness. "Are you safe?" She hesitated. "I left Phoenix tonight. I could not stay. Not after everything. And I am pregnant." Her voice cracked on the word. "I cannot raise a child in a family that eats its own." Something inside me tightened. "You did the right thing coming here." Marin nodded, sliding the phone toward me. "The recording is yours. Do whatever you have to. Protect yourself." After she left, the bakery felt too still, too aware of every breath I took. I sat alone at the prep table, the metal cool beneath my palms. They had not only tried to scare me, they were preparing to gut my life's work, piece by piece, to clean up Phoenix's destruction, and they had done it believing I would break the same way I always had. I spent the next morning gathering everything: camera footage, inspection reports, copies of the complaints, timelines, notes. By noon, my lawyer had all of it. By 2, the police did. By 4, the county licensing board did too. I did not react. I prepared. 3 days later, they arrived. Gordon walked in first, carrying a folder thick with contracts. Phoenix followed, pale and jittery, eyes darting around the room like he expected someone to jump him. "Lennon," Gordon said warmly, as if we were starting fresh. "We want to help you stabilize things after that inspection mess. We put together a partnership agreement. Just a formality." Phoenix chimed in quickly. "It gives you support, structure. We handle the business parts. You keep doing the creative stuff. Everyone wins." I took the papers without sitting. "This is generous," I said quietly. "Very strategic." Gordon smiled, thinking he had me. Family looks out for each other. I held the pen. I let him believe I was folding. Then I placed my phone on the counter and pressed play. Gordon's voice burst through the speakers. "She will break. She always does." Phoenix's followed. "We sell the ovens, the mixer, the freezers." Phoenix staggered back as if struck. How did you?" Gordon's mask dropped instantly. "Lennon, this is taken out of context." "No," I said. "This is exactly the context." I reached under the counter and pulled out an envelope. Inside are cease and desist orders, notices of civil action, and a record of everything sent to the authorities. "You are both legally barred from approaching me or this building." Phoenix's voice shook. "Lennon, please, I did not mean you meant every word." I said, "You both did." Gordon tried one last swing. "You think you can survive without us?" I looked him in the eye. "I already am." His jaw tightened, but he said nothing else. He grabbed Phoenix by the arm, pulling him toward the door. They left without slamming it, without shouting, without one final insult. They left quietly, the kind of quiet that only comes when the power has shifted, permanently, to the other side of the table. And for the first time in my life, the other side was mine. 1 month later, the bakery felt different, not louder, not busier, though it was both of those things but steadier, like the ground beneath me had finally stopped shifting. Lines wrapped around the block on weekends. Locals brought friends just to say, You have to meet her. Late one morning, as I was refilling the pastry case, a man stepped inside wearing a navy jacket and a quiet expression. I recognized him instantly. Theo Ashford, the critic known for ending restaurants with a single review. He approached the counter without fanfare. Lennon Hale. Yes, I said, bracing myself. I was here opening night, he said. Incognito. I watched everything, including the empty table. My heartbeat stumbled, but his tone held no judgment, only observation. I wrote about you, he continued. A review, I asked. No, he said. A story. He slid a folded newspaper across the counter. The headline read, "The Baker Who Refused to Break." My chest tightened. You did not have to do this. He shook his head. Integrity deserves witnesses. People need to know what real resilience looks like. I swallowed, unsure how to hold the weight of his words. Thank you, I said quietly. Theo gave a brief nod and turned to go, but paused at the door. You built something honest here. People feel it. Keep going. When he left, Marin stepped out from the kitchen, wiping her hands. Was that? It was, I said. She smiled, small but full. Good. You deserve this. I looked around at the customers chatting, the staff laughing, the shelves full. For years, my worth had been measured by what I could carry for everyone else. Now, it was measured by what I had built by hand, by heart, by finally choosing myself. And it was enough. The afternoon rush had faded when the bell above the door chimed again. I looked up, expecting a late customer, but it was Serena, my mother. She stood just inside the doorway, hands clasped, eyes softer than I had ever seen them. Lennon, she said quietly. May I speak with you? I gestured toward a small corner table. She sat carefully, as if the chair might reject her. I took the seat across from her, waiting. She inhaled shakily. I heard about everything. The recording, the lawsuit, what Phoenix and your father tried to do. Her voice wavered. I should have stopped it. I kept my hands folded. You could have. I know. Her eyes filled. Not dramatic, just tired. I spent so many years keeping the peace that I did not see what it cost you. I do not expect forgiveness. I just needed you to hear me say that I am sorry. Her apology landed without noise, but not without impact. I nodded once. Thank you for saying it. She swallowed. You look steady, happier. I am, I said simply. Serena stood slowly. If you ever want to talk, I am here. Only if you want. I did not promise anything, but I did not shut the door either. Take care of yourself. I said. She touched my arm, tentative, then left the bakery as quietly as she had entered. The door closed behind her, and I felt the shift a release, not of anger, but of weight, a clearing. I stepped to the front window, watching customers carry boxes stamped with the Sunrise and Salt logo, choosing this place the way I had finally chosen myself. If you are still listening, I said softly, tell me where you are listening from. Tell me when you first learned to stand on your own. The words felt right. Some doors stay closed forever. Some open just enough. And some, like this one, belong only to me.